How's it going? Welcome to a video on the Disciple Recordings channel. My name is Chime and Melodic Riddim Volume 2 just came out, so this video is going to be me kind of going through the samples that I contributed to it and also doing a bit of a track breakdown of the Melodic Riddim Volume 2 demo. Yeah, let's just dive right in. Okay, so just a heads up, these samples named the way they were before we changed everything around for the requirements for Splice. So things will be named slightly differently from what the actual final samples are, but you should be able to figure it out based on what they are. Let's get started on the drums, I suppose. I'll just kind of go through in chronological order and say a few things about the samples, and then yeah, we'll just kind of go from there. Kicks. All your usual stuff, just more of the same from the first pack, really, and kind of the same with snares, although there's a few other flavors of snare in here. We've got the rim shot from Lost Limerence. Yeah, generally the names of the samples will kind of reference what track they're from, if they're from a specific track that I've taken. So Atoms, that's from Atoms to Pixels. Carpe, that's from my Carpe Diem remix for Asker. Stuff like that. That Chunkily one has been one I've been enjoying because it's a big smasher. Cloud Ring, that's from Cloud Factory, and there's a version without the ring. One more suited to drum and bass, that sort of thing. That's the one from Homeworld. Generally, the nice, clean snares you've come to expect from your local me. We got a couple of mega verb snares. These are really good to just have cut off, right before a drop or something. Mountain. This is one of my absolute favorite snares right now, and the original use of it was in Beyond the Peak, which is why it's called Mountain. You got a couple that are specifically tuned to different notes, and I've tried to include the notes in where possible, where that might be useful. There's a Subterrane one, which is kind of loosely based on the Roughneck bass snare. At least I was trying to recreate it. There's a lovely tear-out-y kind of ringy snare there. Throwback, that was me kind of trying to recreate a Dr. P snare, which we ended up using in collab. Yeah, and then we've got this kind of subcategory of weird snares where they get a little bit more creative. So you got some beep snares. Bone Click, that's from an upcoming tune with Skybreak. Clunk Pot, I believe that's from Homeworld as well. The Clop one is from Intermolecular Lullaby. That one's just weird. These pips are really nice for making micro drops and stuff. I've been using those a bunch. They're actually just sine waves with a crazy transient on the front of them, and in the case of this one, a little bit of room reverb. Yeah, just some more fun snares to mess around with. That one is another favorite of mine. The wood bonk. Yeah, so let's move on to the claps. We have some more sort of traditional claps here. I think that crack clap is from Bring Me Back. That pack clap is from the intro of my Sullivan King remix. More of a sloshy pre-clap there. And then we have clap snares, which are more of those kind of rhythm trench claps that are designed to take the place of a snare when layered with a kick. So there's the one from Bloom. Yeah, you got a kind of crystally one there. Elemental, I believe that must be the one from Water Elemental. Parade, that's from Rainbow Rave Parade. So yeah, there's a variety of those. Hats and cymbals. These are the most boring kinds of samples. I'll just blast through these. Bunch of crashes. Bunch of nice hats. I've got a video going up soon of how you can take a bunch of hats and make your own kind of shuffles and top loops out of them. Watch out for that. Yeah, let's see what else we got. We got some fills. Just a handful of fills. Some of my favorites I've been using. A kind of kitchen one with a bunch of different bits and pieces. That opium one is fun. The reason why it's called opium is because it reminds me of a fill in Rusko's track Opium, which basically has the same flow. That one's a lot of fun as well. Let's go into the loops. We got a bunch of different ones, and again, there's a bunch of different loops taken directly from tracks of mine. So that's like a full loop taken from Homeworld. Got more of these kind of like acoustic feel ones this time around. But also we got like some ASMR flavored ones like this. Kind of like crossing the boundary between what is like percussion and what is just general sound design. And then you got more of your like typical drum loops, like this is just, I think, the full loop from Atoms to Pixels. And then I think this Beefer one is from my Sullivan King remix. Yeah. More of the same kind of thing, just like full loops from some of my tracks. It's just kind of the easiest way of, putting a bunch of unique drum loops into the pack. Bring Me Back's drums here. A bit more like rough and ready. Either bubble kicks from Homeworld. Another loop from Homeworld. There are the 4 to the floor drums from Escape Velocity. And then I noticed these were really popular from Volume 1, but like the full build-up stuff, where you've got just like all the drums for a full build-up. Build-ups I've always found to be the most tiresome parts of tracks to make, because they typically do exactly the same thing. They just like rise in tension. I feel like they're the part of a track that you can least put your creativity into, or at least it's harder to be creative with a build. So these are really good for just like, I need a build, boom, just like drag these in and just get you started and get a build in there. So I've just included like the full drum layers for a couple of my tracks. Really handy just for like getting you going. Another one there. That's the one from Sherwood. So those are really handy. These are the garagey drums from the breakdown of Bring Me Back. Lots of fun. Some more simple ones like from Limerence, Lost Limerence. Micro, this is from Intermolecular Lullaby. You kind of get the idea. That's the intro from Sullivan King remix. Rainbow Ray Parade. Yeah, there's a bunch of these different ones. And then what you can do is you can take some of these top loops and just layer them straight in, and you've effectively got drums that you can kind of go in and change later if you want, or just use them wholesale. I don't have a problem with that either. Yeah, got some more like shuffly ones in there. This is another favorite of mine. Really like that sort of like cowbell feel. All your usuals. Let's get into some not drums. Let's go into the effects. Risers, I've tried to kind of put more sort of creative risers in there because there's plenty of options for, your general sweeps and stuff. I've put a couple in there that are just kind of like good for whatever. But yeah, I've tried to do some weird stuff on some of these. For example, that's more of a typical sweep. The Congobulator. Oh, it goes down at the end as well. This one's fun. Dog Confuser. This is like a really high-pitched deal. But yeah, you can kind of look through for yourself on these. That quick biz one is one I've been using a lot as well. Is there anything specific? This one basically just turns into a tune. I forgot about this one. Oh, starting again. Yeah, that one's fun. Oh, what the hell is this? Oh, yeah. Yeah, some more like fun kind of build-up things to mess around with. We've got, you know, usual kind of impacts and downlifters. I particularly like this orchestral rumble one. Yeah, but nothing too crazy. Now, these I find have been super useful, and it's annoyed me that I haven't come up with having a folder of these earlier. These are just like simple little reversers. So whenever you need a little sort of filler into like a drum, like a kick or a snare, or maybe you want to sort of glue together the transition into a breakdown or something a little better, these are really handy for that. Just really short little sort of riser effects that aren't too like they aren't too kind of conspicuous in the mix, but they just kind of help to kind of make it feel a little more glued together in certain transitions. And I've been finding them really, really useful in my own music. Backspins. What I noticed was whenever I hear a backspin in someone's music, it's like one of 3 samples on Splice. It turns out there really aren't that many backspins on Splice, so I was like, I'm gonna get a nice big chunky amount on there so that we have a little bit more variety. So we got some longer ones, we got some medium, and we got some short. Yeah, of different flavors. Yeah, that's a kind of neater one. Yeah, and then we got some like shorter ones as well, which are just good for like boom, squiddler, snare. Yeah. This other folder of effects I find, I believe these were sort of renamed to like FX miscellaneous or something in the final version of the pack, but there's some kind of business happening here. Much more like ASMR textures like this. Bubbly business, crystal business. Fun stuff like that, which is really just really nice textures to add like behind basses and stuff, that sort of thing. Bunch of different variations of different sounds. Just like fun stuff. Ultimate crumbles. This is one of my faves. Just endlessly fun. A few little bits and pieces. Crowd noise. Always handy to have that. Crystal smash. These are a ton of fun. I have a video as well going up on socials about how I made these like destructive audio and distortion residues. Yeah, going up pretty soon. Couple more bits and pieces. These glassy smashers I've been finding are really nice for adding high-end. Say you have like typical dubstep beat, kick, snare, just like adding a bit of smash to the kick and the snare, and so it kind of glues together the kick and the snare so they don't feel too different from each other. I found that's been useful. That's a fun thing. A couple more like just digital effects that I can imagine would be really cool to play around with. Some glitchy business. More of this like OTT residue stuff. yeah, just lots of really fun bits and pieces in there. Let's move on to the synths. We have a bunch of leads, just some of the like very typical Chime leads I've been using, as well as just like useful things to have when you just can't be bothered to like synthesize it yourself. Chaos square lead, fizzy saw. That's the pluck from Bloom, which you can kind of play around with. And the fun thing about that is that it has a rate to it. So when you play up and down the keyboard with that, it will kind of change the rate with the pitch, which is quite a nice effect. That's the Goldfinch bell. Just a little sign pluck thingy. Just some bits and pieces. And then now we're onto the pads, and there's some really fun ones in here. I don't know if you call it a pad. Just some nice crunchy business. A lot more. These I see more as just like textures, either for the background of stuff or in breakdowns or whatever, or just to kind of like mix in with basses to give it a bit of a harmonic texture. Another nice long pad. Some of these pads I've just basically made like an entire 1 minute long ambient tune for you to use. It's really fun to take these and it's really fun to take these and cut them up into different pieces, kind of in the way I did on like the intro of Rainbow Rave Parade. Yeah. That's another nice one. More general chord textures. Might recognize that from Cloud Factory. This is more of an atonal one. Yeah, just stuff that's really fun to just chop up into different bits. And like I mentioned on the video I posted recently, this sort of thing is really good for dragging into something like Quanta, like a granular plugin where you can kind of sweep through the sound and kind of sample little bits of it and make your own sort of like ASMR textures out of that. These are just fun. Lots of fun. This is another one of my favorites. You can definitely hear this in the intro of the demo track, which I'll kind of show you in a minute. More twinkly bits. You know me. Okay, this is one of my absolute favorites. Bit more of like a windy one. This one, you know, when I just said like a moment ago, I made like a full ambient track and then just put it in one sample. Here's an example. How long is this thing? It is a full minute long. Yeah. You get your money's worth with that credit spent, I'll tell you that. Cool. Moving on. We got some more twinkly business. There's lots of this, so I'll kind of blast through. You can kind of just check this out for yourself. This one's one of my faves, though. That's a tickly thing. A couple of like my classic complexes. Gloopy glimmers. I can imagine a lot of these would actually be pretty good as like video game sound effects as well, especially in this folder. I've been really liking my lo-fi stuff recently, and there's some evidence of that. Bunch of fun stuff in there. Now, convolution impulses. These are interesting because, I mean, we included a bunch of these in the first one, but these are samples that are specifically designed to be thrown into a convolution reverb and then applied to a different sound. So the most typical use of that is like creating your own bass and then applying convolution reverb, dragging one of these in, and then it will add some kind of like harmonic flavor and color to the bass. So they're, for the most part, they're just very short sort of chord texture samples, that sort of thing. And in some cases, I've actually included multiple chords for like a chord sequence. So you can kind of mess around with switching between the different chords for different basses and creating harmonic movement that way. These crystal creams have been a real go-to for me, as well as these favorite silk textures. Yeah, bunch of fun stuff in there. It's worth just playing around for yourself and dragging some of those into convolution reverb to just see what it does to sounds. Additionally, these texturizers are great for making something more twinkly or more sort of like, you know, they're super wide as well. But yeah, if you have like an arpeggio that you want to sort of draw out into more of a texture rather than, you know, having the individual notes, you can throw that on and it will kind of make it more sort of glittery. It's really nice. Yeah, we've got some synth loops here. Kind of more of the same thing as the pads, but specifically designed to loop. There's one from Intermolecular. Ah! Would you look at that? It's the Skrongle. That's the full original Skrongle sample I made for the other side with AU5. Yeah, okay. Kind of moving on to the main event here. Bass one-shots. Again, there's like, I can't state enough how much of an improvement I feel like at least my sound design has been since volume 1. Like in terms of really fleshing out colorful basses or harmonic basses, I feel like my offerings on this pack are so much more sort of uniform and feel more natural. They don't feel like, oh, it's one of my 2019 basses, but with color added. They're more sort of like glued in together. So I'll give you a blast to come a couple of these. We also got some atonal bubble stuff. These are some of my absolute favorites. I've been using these honestly too much. One of my favorite things to do with these is to throw them into a quick sampler so you can play them at different rates and then throw chroma on that. No. Cool. There we go. And then you can put chroma on there, lock it to a certain key, and then if you play different notes, chroma will keep it locked to the key that you want. So you can effectively use the texture of this in whatever key you want and also get a bunch of different variations out of it quite easily. It's also fun to, let's see, loop a section of this. Yeah, you can do this sort of thing. Yeah, just a ton of fun with those. These cephalo lugs, I haven't found a good way of using these yet, but they're juicy. Some more stuff you might recognize. There's a bunch of stuff from Cloud Factory here. These cream swipes are sweet as well. Another thing I like doing with these is, let's throw them in here. And let's see. Yeah, what am I doing? Yeah, oh yeah, I'm looping this. A lot of fun. Then you can like record that with something like M recorder and keep messing around with it. Some more juicy things. These flower upgrades are another one that are just too fun. See what else we got. Yeah, we still got some like non-color based stuff in there, like that. There's some swells from Lost Limerence. Yeah, kind of just more nice textural stuff than from the first volume. Can't get enough of those. These sustains I've been using a lot, like behind stuff as well. Yeah, you'll see from the promo. I've been really liking that one. These are great for just taking like a little piece and then you can make your own basses out of them. What has happened there? Yeah, so for example, I feel like I've done this a bunch. Yeah, so you can specifically zone in on a piece of that. Ooh, for example, yeah, you could do a variety of different things with that. Ooh. Let's get the chroma back on. We could loop that as well, couldn't we? Oops. And then we could glide. Ooh. What if we do like a really... What? Hold on. Longer glide. Let's do some of this. Yeah, I've tried to just, generally with these samples, I just try to put as much use into them as possible. Like, there's so many different ways you can use them and mess with them to make your own stuff. Yeah, so there's some of the basses. There's some loops as well. Again, you might recognize some of these from all sorts of places. Cheeky bit of tear out in there. Those are weird. Yeah, I mean, you can look for yourself on those instruments. I just had to put some wind chimes in. So I put a very classic chime, with chime sample in there. A couple of variations and a loop. Yeah, and then we got Foley. So I gotta say, like, Ace Aura did an amazing job on the Foley. He's got all sorts of stuff. Like, you could score an entire film, I feel like, with the amount of Foley he did. For me, I just kind of focused more on making little perk sounds that you can use either to supplement your drums or to throw into a sampler and mess around with or whatever, or make your own dumb like percussion loops with. So I basically recorded lots of things hitting against other things. Yeah. So there's a bunch of stuff in there, and yeah, I went through and kind of picked out all of the sounds that were most sort of different from each other, but I've been finding they're really fun, especially like more of the metallic perks are really fun to make into those like dumb like micro snares that like me and Convexity have been making. Yeah, just handy for that sort of thing. And then finally we're on vocals. I've split it into words and just noises. So I remember quite a while back when I was making this pack, I basically did a poll on Twitter of like what the most searched kind of thing, words that you are looking for on Splice. And let's rephrase that. That was a mess of a sentence. So I did a poll on Twitter quite a while back asking what are the most like wanted phrases that you can never sort of find good samples for on Splice. And I've kind of tried to include as many of them as possible in here. So there's lots of, your classics.
Bass, bounce, bring it, check.
Yeah, lots of those sort of things. You can pitch them up and down. You can use them as you can morph them into something else. In fact,
crikey.
let's do that. Let's find something. There we go. Nice held bass note. We can take something like
bass
that, and we can morph these together to make it sound cool as hell. All right, let's try this.
Bass.
Yes, that's kind of juicy. Let's get some OTT on there. Move it to a different position.
Bass.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. So even just within the pack, you can make new stuff just by mixing together the vocals and the basses. Yeah, I mean, these are mostly self-explanatory, except my here we go. Here's my impression of the Cinema Skrillex remix.
Drop the bass.
And a variation, just in case you need it. Yeah, these are pretty typical. You've got numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've got some swearing. You've got some
rewind.
All your usual stuff. You've got yes said as if I'm doing an impression of Captain Falcon.
Yes.
Just the typical samples you might need. And I got some just random noises. Some of them might be good for offbeat chants, that sort of thing. I don't know why I put horrible zombie noises in, but you could probably resample them in something like Vital, and it would be fun.
Kit.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I got
Mario
impressions.
Yeah. Yoy.
There you go. Oh, haven't we got... Wait. Where is it? I've got my best Dodge impression as well. Wait, was it under... Yeah, there he is. That's better than I remember, actually. Yeah, so that's a little rundown of the samples. Now let's go into the project for Mega, and I'll show you how I use some of them. All right, we have the first of 2 project files for this. We've kind of got my section, and then we've got a project file of me integrating what Asora did. Yeah, I guess I could just go from top down, kind of starting with the drums here, and hopefully pointing out some good uses of the samples on the way. So here we have the intro drums, which you can tell makes use of that ASMR drum loop that I showed. And then we've got the build. Yeah, we've got the opium fill there. So I've got one of the kicks picked out, but I've also got a kick slam, which I believe is from that Jungle Business full build loop that I put in. See, without it... Oh, actually, where's this other slam coming from? Oh, it's because I've soloed the whole thing. So yeah, see, without it... Very subtle, but yeah. We got a crash on there as well. And then I used the snare rolls from the Homeworld loop. While filtering in a kick.
Yeah, back to the...
So we got the typical snare clap with a kick deal. Let's just play those. There we go. Now, typically what I do, because I have quite a harsh transient on the snare claps, I usually, have a separate kick channel where I will duck the high end just for the kicks that hit at the same time as the clap, so that it doesn't feel too overpowered. Say I took that off. The transient feels a little almost too strong when they hit together. Whereas that feels a little bit more balanced between the kick and the kick plus clap. We got a switch into a more of a regular snare here. little variation on the kick here as well, where it kind of goes to a softer kick. Yeah, I also used some break stuff. Those were, I think the lossy break is actually, it might have been in the fill folder, but yeah, and just kind of showing off some more of the snares and when you might want to use them. A little bleep thing that I've tuned there. That's just one of the fills straight up. Now we're switching to yet another snare. This is the chonkily snare. And that little spongy room snare. And we got one of the top loops here and more of a 16th note vibe with yet another snare. I was just trying to get as many of the different samples in as possible to kind of represent the variety in the pack. Yeah, so now we got some vocal bits. We've got the Here We Go Now. Here we go again. Oh, Here We Go Again, which I've kind of distorted and put some convolution on just to kind of make it feel like really tightly spaced. Here we go again. Here we go again. And then we got the Now Back to the.
Now back to the.
Which I believe is pitched up and also
Now back to the.
has like a teeny tiny little bit of convolution with one of the harmonic impulses on there. We've got a what on the offbeat. What? Which has been pretty heavily affected, actually. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So we've got some frequency shifter.
What?
Just to push it up a little bit higher. Dimension expander, quite a roomy reverb, and then some OTT.
What?
I think I actually brought that up for the final mix a little bit more. Effects now. So here you can see I've been using the reversers in that I mentioned in the previous part of the video. They just really help. Yeah, like without those, it would just kind of feel a bit jank. They're just, yeah, they're nice little things to pepper in occasionally. What have we got here? Hey, we got some of the OTT nastiness and the terrible connection as a little fill there. What else have we got? We got some glimmers. Yeah, that's like the atonal pad, which I'm just kind of using it. Just kind of using as a bit of background stuff to fill out that section. Whoops, I think my convolution plugin is like reset because that's not supposed to sound like that. Yeah, okay. We got impacts, rises. A couple of different rises used there. And then impacts. We just got like at the very beginning. Oh my god, how many impacts did I use? I believe that's one of Ace's. That's also one of Ace's. That's also one of Ace's. And then I think this might be, that's one of mine. Yeah. This was, I think it's called like tonal flash or something in the name of the samples. But yeah, that's actually got some like tonal content to it. Nice big impact at the start. Leads, let's have a look what we got. Mostly I believe it's this. I believe I must have used the Square Chaos. Oh. That's one of the plucks of mine, and then this. It's just a fizzy saw. Yep, and I believe it's the same kind of thing for the drop here. Actually, that might be the Goldfinch bell. Oh no, it's yet another pluck. Here we go. Lovely. Yeah, those leads are just good if you just want to like drag and drop them straight into a sampler and get using them. All right, moving on to the melodics. I'm going to actually close up these folders. Melodics, I generally just group melodics to be like synths, general things that basses that like harmonic content. But also there's some bits like that. Yeah, actually, that's a good demonstration of how you can use that sort of thing. You can take any of the like textural stuff and make your own little, just like little bits of effects and things to add in there and just kind of create more fun textural stuff. I believe that's one of the horn samples that I put in. And then this glitch loop. Yes, so I made this. This was basically entirely inspired by this one Ace Aura sample from the pack, which sounds like this. Yeah, and then on top of that, I added, there's a little bit of a pad in there. And what's this? It's one of those Ace Aura trance pads. So yeah, throw that into a thing. That's another thing I added. I'm not sure where that went, but yeah, I put in just like 2 little notes of one of my arpeggios in there as well. And then layered a saw. And doing a bit more like glitch effects on there. Aha! So this is another Ace ARP. And then I used, yeah, this is always super fun. If you just like throw one of the big long texture pads in, you can just go through, play different bits, and basically just like, you could even just move this MIDI like up and down to just like draw from different parts of the sample. That's a lot of fun, and we have a hand pan in here. Aha! That's from Ace Aura's side of the pack. Yeah. Here we go again. Haha! Forgot to put those in. Those are from Water Elemental. Just like filling out that section a bit more. There's a heartbeat loop from Ace. What else have we got during the drop here? Yeah, a little bit of that head pan, a little bit more of this stuff. Ooh. That's another Ace ARP. Cool. I think that covers the melodics there. And here we are with the basses. Now, a lot of these have been kind of flattened, but I can sort of point out where some of them have just been used like wholesale. So that thing, that's one of my favorite samples from Ace's side of the pack. It's an effects sort of laser juicy thing. That's a lot of fun. This... I must have layered a bunch of different bits for that, but yeah, very easy to make that kind of thing just by layering different basses together. And also you could probably hear on the tail end of that just a little bit of like twinkly texture, either from like those ASMR plankules or whatever I called them, or some other like twinkly texture. That's just a straight up loop from Ace Aura's side. There we go. That's like a bunch of different samples. That could be one of the pads. That's, I think, a sort of kalimba from Ace Aura's side. I think that's another Ace sample. And that might be another thing. That's one of the flower upgrades. Let's see what else we got. That's one of the long flower upgrades. which of course is like all tuned to D sharp instead of like what it originally was, which I think is F minor. There's the riff chugs. I think I've applied some parallel distortion. Yeah. Just to make that a little bit chunkier. What else have we got here? So that's an Ace loop, but you can hear I've like mixed in a little bit my sort of like bubbly sound design. Coming up, we have my favorite sound of all time. That thing is just fun. I think I've literally just pitched that so that it's in key. And then that, I think, loops at the end there, yeah. And just like pitches from high to low. We got a little brief moment of crumbles. I believe, does that actually... Oh, goodness me. I'm very much on a new laptop where I haven't plugged in all my serial numbers yet. That's in Serum. I've put the sample into the noise oscillator and then I've like shifted up the pitch. In fact, I probably have that on automation. Yeah, there we go. What else we got? This looks complicated. That's an Ace sample. It's another Ace sample. That's it. Yeah, these are all Ace Aura stuff. And then that's one of my ups. Ooh, I do want to point out, actually, these things. Another one of my absolute favorites from Ace Aura's side of the pack. These are like Foley swipes. I don't know how he recorded them, but they are incredibly satisfying. We have one of those bubblers on the offbeat there. We have something else backing up the blenge. I think that's just one of Ace's. Yeah, hydraulic, it's called. Yeah, so together. And then some of these, like that's from my Sylvan King remix. And I believe this is as well, because this is the power cannon. Oh no, it's not. This is. Yeah, really just, it's a bit chaotic, but that's always going to be the case with these sample pack demos where you're just trying to get as many of the samples in as possible. And then down here, we just have a couple more bits and pieces. That's like an ambient sample from Ace. This is another Ace sample. I believe this went into like the glitch folder. Really cool sound that I've frequency shifted up. And then these chords from Ace. Oh yeah, and then I used one of Ace's 808s underneath here. That basically covers everything from this project. So let's just duck onto the second project and see if there's anything else to point out. Cool. So on this second project, you can basically see I've just like stemmed out what I did from the first and added a few bits in, and also just worked in Ace Aura stuff for the second drop. So let's see what the hell I did. What's down here? Aha. Added some of the Tunic plucks. One of my absolute favorites that I made for the pack. Let's see what else I added in here. This is part of the second build. Nice. What the hell did I use for this? I think these are some of my plucks. Yeah, the Sharp Ding pluck. Get a ton of reverb on those, and it's a lot of fun. Cool. Most of the stuff added here is really Ace's bits and pieces, like... That's just like one loop of his. And you can hear that I used the screechy business behind that. Some of the background bits. just a little melody line to back up what's already going on in that sample. I think these are basically just saws. Oh, that's one of Ace's Reese's. Yeah, basically just saws. There's another one of my fills, which kind of sounds terrible on its own, but much better in context. And then I believe the outro is very much kind of like mimicking the intro. Lots of just like getting as much of the pad textures in there as possible. More of the tunic plucks. Ah, yeah, and then some of my bubbly bits. At least I think they're mine. I don't know. Yeah, I think that basically covers everything. I don't think I did anything too major in this second project. But yeah, hopefully me running through the project of the demo kind of shows you a bunch of the different ways that you can use the samples for your own productions. I'm going to continue to post stuff on social media of how you can use the samples in different ways to make more of your own stuff, because I think that's the most rewarding way to use a sample pack, rather than, you know, just kind of dragging and dropping stuff in. Finding ways of using, you know, what we've given you to make your own stuff and make it feel like your own as well. So there'll be a lot more of that stuff coming up soon on socials. But for now, thanks for watching, and hopefully this has been useful, and hopefully you'll go and spend all of your credits on our sample pack. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time. Peace out.